is what is Zen? How do we live it? Zazen is the embodiment. So here we go. And I'm maybe we'll do this. We're certainly going to do it today. I'm going to ring the bell and then I'm going to read something from in this case from Zenju about Zazen to encourage us in our practice. Zazen. This is the Japanese word used for silent sitting meditation. Zazen is an effort to practice wakeful attention without directing or clinging to one's thoughts. Zazen is just sitting, or shikantaza, as we call it in Zen practice. Zazen is the Japanese word used for meditation in the tradition of Soto Zen. Za means to sit down, and Zen refers to silent meditation. Zazen is sitting meditation. The meaning of Zen, by its very essence, require a relationship to life experience. Therefore, the meaning of Zen is more accurate when applied to the lives we live. When you ask, what is Zen, you are asking, what are you or who are you? What is happening during meditation? The simple answer is breathing. To breathe is to live. Many people see Buddhism as a meditation practice for those seeking tranquility and a calm mind. When I meditate, life slows down. And what I experience in meditation is not always calm. There can be much distress. I breathe in and out, becoming aware of what in my body and mind hinders compassion, love, and wisdom. With that awareness, I can breathe again in and out through the hindrances of fear and desire, signaling the mind and body to let go of whatever story fuels the fear and desire. In general, when you meditate, the mind flows in a stream of thoughts in one direction towards the breath, not thinking or pondering anything. As the wave of thoughts goes by, you eventually lose your identification with happiness or misery. Sit upright, eyes slightly open, gazing downward, laying the left hand inside the right hand, thumb tips touching as if we were holding an egg or something precious. Shoulders down, the tongue touching the roof of the mouth, chin tucked in, and the top of the head is up as if a string were pulling us up from the top of our head. In this posture of concentration, we are learning to breathe in the midst of life's distractions. There is a saying in the Zen world, Zazen is good for nothing. I didn't understand that saying because I wanted something back for meditating hour after hour, hour after hour. This is Zenju Earthling Manuel, I'm reading from, wanted to instantly eliminate all of my suffering. It's only caused more suffering. Finally, after working so hard, exhaustion, and there was nothing but sitting. I had to sit and trust that all would be revealed without any strategy. In that case, Zazen was good for such nothingness. In other words, meditation techniques alone will not serve as the infinite mirror you will need to see your true nature. May you enjoy this period of Zazen, sitting right in the middle of the isness of all that is here. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. Breathing in and breathing out, alive. This is all on the website and was in the newsletter. Doan training January 10th. Tech people are celebrated as well as everybody else, and Jared is the contact person. And I realized, let's do the service, stay on the 3rd, because Constance is giving the talk on forms and rituals next Thursday, so that would be a good follow up.
Okay, so we're not having it the phone Thursday.
Not the 4th, we'll keep it on the 3rd.
let's make note of that. Yeah, 1 week from today then, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And Chris, chanting on February 1st.
Oh, and chanting on February 1st. This is great. All these wonderful things are happening. All these little beehive activities. So, we are exploring forever and eternally what is Zen, which is what is it to be alive, and how does this particular practice help us and help the world? How do we live it? How do we embody it in these times and all times? So I'll just say I'm just back from the firefighter retreat, and I said a fair amount about it on Tuesday. So I'm not going to do that today, unless it just comes up as stream of consciousness. I like my hat. I just saw myself on screen. Okay, now I'll take myself off screen. Enough of that. But I think I will just say, because in talking about it on Tuesday and talking about Zen and practice and Buddhism, is that what happened during that period, those days, 6 days, 7 days, is such a precious thing when we can palpably feel that we're part of a song, part of a community, and that it's based in goodness, that there is just fundamental goodness. And that people take care of each other. And it doesn't mean there's not blips or blops or what. I mean, we're not talking about a perfect world. We're talking about a world where there's care and kindness, and how really, really important that is. To offer refuge, to be refuge, to just keep practicing it and cultivating it and sending it out into the world. So that makes me really happy. And I'm also enormously grateful, because there's a million different ways to find and offer refuge in different traditions, but for whatever reason we fell into this one, and the fact that we get to practice deeply and wholeheartedly together with and for the whole world is, I think, wow, we must have done something right going along in these cycles of lives. I am using, there are many books on Zen, many books on Buddhism. These three popped off the shelf for me to bring forward this time. I was thinking, I really enjoy, maybe we'll see how this happens, but offering little bits and different voices from different teachers feels like a conversation. It's not just me up here telling you something, because I don't know anything to tell you anyway, but in conversation, all kinds of wonderful possibilities arise. What is Zen? Norman Fischer and Susan Moon. When You Greet Me, I Bow. Norman Fischer, Notes and Reflections from a Life in Zen. A lot of really beautiful essays that he wrote and have been published in Lion's Roar and Tricycle. And Zenju, Tell Me Something About Buddhism, Zenju Earthling Manual. And then some senior people in the Sangha will also be offering themselves and their experience and views, because it is experiential, and we always know we're offering a view, it's like, because it's changing moment to moment, and we do know something and we do know nothing, because we're all feeling our way in the dark. But Marilyn and Constance and Gretchen and Rachel and Sherry will also be participating, as will all of you, as will all of the world, because that's just the way it is. It's alive. So I'm going to pull forward things from these books, but they're all great books. I wholeheartedly recommend them. Simple, accessible, but deep and profound and incomprehensible. So there you go. What more could you ask for? So I'm going to start with Susan Moon. Susan Moon, who's a Dharma sister. We've co-taught together. I love Sue. So it's just it's so sweet when you read somebody, and you can feel them jump off the page. It's not just words because you know them. So, and same thing with Norman and with Zenju is oh, they're here in the room with us. So I'm going to start with chapter 1. What's the point? What is Zen? A good place to begin. A simple answer is that Zen is Zen Buddhism, an Asian religion now practiced all over the world. Broadly, there are 3 forms of Buddhism. We did this on Tuesday too, just grounding it in Buddhism before we jump to Zen. Theravadan Buddhism, which emphasizes the earliest scriptures that seem to be mostly about individual liberation. Mahayana Buddhism, which emphasizes compassion and social concern as much or as more than individual liberation. See, this is great. Wow, I wouldn't have said it that way. And Vajrayana Buddhism, the Buddhism of Tibet, which adds detailed, esoteric, ritualistic practices. Zen is a form of Mahayana Buddhism developed in China about 1,500 years ago, more than a millennium after the time of the historical Buddha. The quintessential practice of Zen is Zazen, sitting meditation, which is why I wanted to. And we'll keep grounding us in Zazen as we do this. I so appreciate that we have an embodied practice. I so appreciate. We can study, we can think about it. We have good brains, but in the end it's body. It's body. It's body. It's breath. What's the point of Zen practice, you might ask? Heads up, you might be wondering what you've been doing all these years. Zen practice refers to the various spiritual practices of Zen Buddhism: sitting meditation, retreats, talks, ceremonies, meetings with teachers, contextual study, all the stuff that constitutes formal Zen practice. This is a lot of work. So yes, why would anyone want to do all this? What's the point? You might ask yourself sometimes. There's an old saying in Zen, the fire god comes seeking wisdom. I've heard it a different way too. It's wisdom that's seeking wisdom. In other words, the Buddha in you comes seeking the Buddha in the practice, whether or not you realize it at first or not. And what does the Buddha seek? Life is impossible. That's the good thing about these times. It's before we could sort of think, well, it's impossible, but everything's fine. And everything is fine. And there's suffering. We practice to relieve suffering. Not that Zen practice makes us immune to suffering, cheerful all the time, but Zen practice does help us to understand our suffering. We start with this body. We start with it's not projecting it out, although there's plenty of reasons to do that. We keep bringing it back. How does it touch? Where does it resonate? Sitting in the center of it, with and for ourselves and everybody. We disentangle ourselves from it and even appreciate it so that we can cope and thrive, and so that the world can cope and thrive. This is what bodhisattvas do. Zen practice helps us to be more present with the actual life we are living. And the more present we are, the more we see through our many projected delusions and illusions and enjoy our life, seeing our difficulties as intriguing challenges rather than sad failures. Being alive is a gift and a responsibility. Practice helps us see and live it like that. I'll just share, because I shared on Tuesday, the things that but being down in the valley, in the Tassajara Valley, is the wildland firefighters. One of the things they said is we didn't expect to laugh so much. And it's not because we weren't doing really heavy, intense work, because people have enormous grief, and I mean, these people are out on fire lines in the midst of it all. But we also found a way, the closeness of laughter and suffering. When you become tender, it's all just available and accessible. And one of the things that Mark Lesser, who was a friend and a co-facilitator, taught us, and then we would play in it, is something would happen and we'd go, I failed! And then we'd all laugh. And then you'd come back and you'd try some more, and then it's just like, I failed! It's something deeply, it's like to me saying I'm a human being and there's no way I'm going to get this right. And we'll just keep trying and trying, but we just fall down on our knees. The liberation we seek, the relieving of suffering, increased participation and depth in our actual life, is ultimately liberation from ourselves, from the tyranny of our own habitual point of view that has kept us small and unhappy. The world so much, and we so much need this, always and now. Zen practice helps you to live your actual life, not your descriptions of it, and not our projections of what we hope and fear and like and don't like. Just here, just this. Then she talks about, and Zenju does too, creativity. That this practice is essentially creative. So much imagination and creativity, so much what we need right now and all times. It clears the heart, returning it to presence, to zero, to emptiness, which is the ground of creativity. I love this. Is it in Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind? In a famous metaphor, Suzuki Roshi, the Japanese founder of our lineage in America, compared Zazen to turning the soil. Having been a gardener, it's turning the soil. When you sit, you're turning the soil, preparing it for planting. Turning the soil adds light and air to it. If you practice turning the soil, your plants will grow easily and flourish. I am quite convinced that my Zazen practice is essential to my work as a writer. This is Sue, and also Zenju, but not in the direct way that we might imagine. So creativity. This isn't a technique. This isn't dry. This is embodied imagination of the possibilities that are always here in this present moment. And you just keep saying, yes, yes, don't know, and yes. Okay. Doing Zazen helps you notice and appreciate that everything passes. When you're sitting still doing nothing, you can't help but notice that everything is coming and going all the time, moment by moment. When you don't like it that things continually and relentlessly pass away, this fact of life can be very annoying and even dismaying. I do not like change myself. I celebrate change. I love it when new things happen, but I am fundamentally really opposed to change. It really is disturbing. That's a joke, but not. But when you accept it and are willing to let it be as it is, you experience impermanence as peaceful. This is connected to the sound of silence. When you hear in the silence at the heart of the leaf blower's sound or the car going off, that is sounds passing. That was kind of wonderful. there was all these appropriate responses. The horn was going off, and I kind of thought, well, there's a horn going off, and then I just kind of like ignored it. But Sally didn't ignore it, and then she just went and she just found out something and very kindly made an announcement. And the person who could do something about it just very kindly went and did an appropriate response, and it was no big deal. But it was actually that was what a beautiful demonstration. You guys, there was a horn going off in the parking lot. And yeah. We fixed it. Don't worry about it. Any sound. In any sound, you can hear the true nature of that sound, that it arises and passes. This is inherently peaceful. If you allow it, you can actually hear it. So we sit with composure in the middle of impermanence. So to weave Norman Fischer into this conversation, and then we'll weave you into it. Chapter 11, impermanence is Buddha nature. Everybody's saying the same thing. They're just saying it differently. So we'll see, this is from 2012. Zenji's is from 2007. What is Zen came out maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago? I'm not sure. Maybe longer.
Yeah.
Time, amazing how time passes, huh? Practitioners have always understood impermanence as the cornerstone of Buddhist teachings and practice. Impermanence. I also like the word ephemeral. Something beautiful about that word. All that exists is impermanent, nothing lasts. Therefore, nothing can be grasped or held onto. When we don't fully appreciate this simple but profound truth, here it is again, we suffer. And when we do, we have real peace and understanding. As far as classical Buddhism is concerned, impermanence is the number one inescapable and essentially painful fact of life. See, I was right. There's a reason not to like it. No, it's a joke. It is the singular existential problem that the whole edifice of Buddhist practice is meant to address. To understand impermanence at the deepest possible level and to merge with it fully is the whole of the Buddhist path. So in the midst of all of our concerns, our worries that are appropriate, it's all moving and changing, and how we be and how we show up is an integral and inescapable responsibility and part of being alive in this time or any time. The Buddha's final words express this. Impermanence is inescapable. Impermanence is inescapable. Everything vanishes. Therefore, there is nothing more important than continuing the path with diligence. All other options either deny or short shift the problem. It was really fun down in Tassajara because we were there for New Year's Eve and the Han. You know, we take the firefighters in and show them the Han and the wake up, life is swiftly passing, gone. And then for New Year's Eve, we get to hit the Densho bell 108 times. It's just these simple practices, you know, the sound. You hit the sound and the contact with the mallet and the big piece of wood hitting the bell and the sound resounding and then disappearing. It's just taught so viscerally. All conditioned things have the nature of vanishing, the Buddha said. All conditioned things have the nature of vanishing. So just a little bit more, and we'll ask you what this means to you. In one of his most important essays, the great 12th century Japanese Zen master Dogen, we finally got here, writes, impermanence is itself Buddha nature. This seems quite different from the classical Buddhist notion of impermanence, which emphasizes the lost side, of the loss, change, renewal equation. The 5 remembrances. We taught the 5 remembrances to the firefighters. It's really important. There's the loss side to this, and let's acknowledge it and acknowledge it as you didn't do something wrong. It just is. Everything is passing. For Dogen, though, impermanence isn't a problem to be overcome with diligent effort on the path. Impermanence is the path. Practice isn't the way to cope with or overcome impermanence. It is the way to fully appreciate and live it. It's how we align ourselves in this moment, moment after moment. If you want to understand Buddha nature, Dogen writes, you should intimately observe cause and effect over time. Observe cause and effect. That's the precepts. That's bodhisattva practice. Something happens, there's an effect. Something doesn't happen, it's wide open. And something is always happening. But if you hang on to what you think is happening, and we just keep doing, whatever it is, the thing about how is I can't remember exactly, but you just keep doing the same old thing over and over again, and then being surprised that you get the same results. It's just so, I don't know about you, but it's just so humbling to just watch, I'll say myself, do the same old thing over and over again. I mean, habitual responses that just arise, and then being surprised, I get the same old response. It's why my husband is such a great sounding board. How many times do I have to do the same old thing and then watch his face and realize that really, I'm not even coming close to what I'm hoping in terms of relationship or intimacy. I'm just throwing out the same old thing again, and then you take a breath and you say, I failed, and then you come back. That's just what we do. If you want to understand Buddha nature, Dogen writes, you should intimately observe cause and effect over time. When the time is ripe, Buddha nature manifests. Practice isn't so much a matter of changing or improving the conditions of your inner or outer life as a way of fully and embracing these conditions, especially the conditions of impermanence and loss. When you practice, the time becomes ripe. When this phrase naturally implies a later, Dogen understands it in an opposite way. Time is always ripe. Buddha nature always manifests in time because time is always impermanent. Is. I failed. I got it. I missed it. Whatever all of those. This is awful. This is good. I like it. I don't like it. All true on a condition level. Just keep coming back moment after moment. This is what makes happiness possible. Impermanence is permanent, the ongoing process of living and dying in time. And permanence is nirvana, bliss, cessation, relief, the never-ending, ever-changing, and growing field of practice. So I wonder what you know about how you, about your conditioned responses to change, habitual responses. Not good, bad, or otherwise, because we all learn them and we all have them. And how practice body, Zazen body, anything that you may notice. guess I'll just say before I throw this in, it just keeps coming up, so I'll say it. So in the last, this has been a whopper of a beginning of a new year. I've been to two vigils, responding to events in the world, and it's always uncomfortable because people, i.e. me, so much believe dualities. You know, I mean, what's happening is so bad. But then you start chanting things about how bad it is and using certain kinds of language and how to embody presence moment after moment in the midst of the world without making it worse, or as an offering to freedom, and for freedom for everybody, and the tragedy of suffering, and that everybody's suffering. And I was thinking, it's one of the, it can come in a million different ways, but it's one of the great gifts of this practice, is there's just, it can be really awful, and there's also lots of space simultaneously, or at least switching and moving, or just the possibility of remembering that what is happening is cause and effect, and how we show up in each moment changes and conditions everything. And that could be the world, but that could also be maybe you didn't like your breakfast cereal, or your coffee wasn't hot enough, or whatever it is. So why don't we just go in groups of 3 and 4 and talk about change and what you know about your habitual response and how practice may help you. Change meaning the world won't cooperate with our agendas, and how does practice help you find a ground that is founded in, I would say, fundamentally love, that doesn't turn away from anything. Okay? Any of this, all of this, and you've got, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, maybe a little less. Okay, fine.